The Gray Man is a spy thriller action film. I almost saw this one in theaters, but I ended up not going because I heard mixed reviews. This is a spy movie based off of a book series by Mark Greaney, and it's about Six. He is a ex-con recruited by a handler to become a human weapon, basically. So we fast forward 18 years later, and he's doing another mission. However, he gets roped up into something a little bit more intrigue-filled than he would normally want, uncovering some corruption in the CIA that he's working for, but he's what you'd call like a mercenary of sorts. He doesn't have anything to do with the CIA. He's not on the books to say, so like they can let him go at any time, or they can eliminate him and they won't like rescue him, or do things like that. He's sort of a free agent, well, not a free agent, but he's basically like their man. So however, he gets targeted by a villainous man, already forgot his name, but Chris Evans plays him. He hams up the character a lot, and he's enjoyable. But the movie is just really generic. There's a lot going on. I'm not in terms of plot. I mean like in terms of like production value. Like you got the Russo brothers directing, and we know they're solid directors because they did the Captain America 2 and 3 and the Avengers movies. Like they did the Endgame and the Infinity War. So they've directed 4 big budget Marvel films, and they brought in the same writing team as those ones for this. But the movie's just really generic in the sense that it doesn't have any of its own charm or characters of its own. It's basically just like a spy movie, and it feels really familiar. It feels a little bit similar to American Assassin or The Man from Nowhere, or any of those movies. Like the action sequences are very robust, because you have a $200 million budget, So they threw a lot of money at this movie, and you have a pretty stacked cast, but it sort of feels like they have all this stuff, and then they don't have a script good enough for the movie, because it's basically just like a city hopping sort of adventure where Six has to go to these different places. Sometimes he'll bump into an ally or an enemy, and he has to fight them and escape, and then he's got to rescue people, and there's some shooting, some car chases. The movie also tries to be funny. It has like this sort of like quippy dialogue stuff going on. It just doesn't work. It feels really awkward. There's like a scene where he's having a spat with someone he's working with because he didn't throw her bullets or something, and like I guess it just, Ryan Gosling plays it so serious, so it's like when he's joking, it just doesn't seem very like it fits the tone of the movie. The movie's going for like a very stark, grim, gritty, action picture. I think it's rated R. And Chris Evans is the only one that injects a little bit of levity into the film because he's like this over-the-top sort of like man-child. And it was a great attempt by him to do something a little bit different, because he's always playing the pretty boy. Good, he's playing Captain America so many times. It's good to see him as like a jerk, like in Knives Out. So the stats cast, you got Anna de Armas and all those other people, Billy Bob Thornton. The only emotional core of the movie would probably be the one between Six and his handler's niece, who he has to protect sometimes. He's protected her before as a bodyguard. So she sort of views him as an uncle of sorts, and he has to rescue her. That's like the only emotional core of the movie. The rest of the movie is pretty boring. Not boring. The rest of the movie is rather trite and like it feels like a movie you've seen before. You can predict what happens. There's a lot of pew pew pew, and like copies the finale of Jack Reacher, the movie with Tom Cruise. So The Gray Man, it's an entertaining time, but it feels really familiar. Too many tropes and cliches that we've seen before. They want to make a sequel and a spin-off, so I don't know about that, but the movie was just average for a $200 million budget and that cast, so I give it a 6 out of 10.